Our next guest is the best-selling author whose last book, Lucky, was the first ever Canadian pick for Reese Witherspoon's book club.
Her new book, yeah, no kidding. Her new book, The Lightning Bottles, is a spellbinding story of rock and roll and star-crossed love, and it hits shelves today. Please welcome to the show, Marissa Stapley.
We loved Lucky. I think the world did, obviously. This is now your new book, and it is about a 90s, it follows a 90s grunge era musician. And in this book, they try to find out what really happened, what happened to her husband, because he disappeared years earlier. So, I mean, it makes you sit and wonder where the heck the idea for this novel came from.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think if you think about 90s, grunge rock stars who met unfortunate endings, you need only think about Kurt Cobain or Jeff Buckley. Then you think about females who had, difficult stories in the media, Courtney Love, Sinead O'Connor. So those were I loved those artists as I was growing up. As a teenager, I was a huge alternative super fan. And I think that what I really wanted to do is try to rewrite the stories of my grunge and alternative rock.
Cool.
So
super
great.
Cool.
We, as Mel mentioned, were big fans of Lucky, and we actually talked about it here on the show. When you have something that's such a huge success, is there extra pressure, or can you just kind of have to let that go?
I mean, I think that I probably would have. I think the gift here for me is this is the book of my heart. I always wanted to write a book set in the 90s. I wanted to write a music book. I read Daisy Jones and the Six, and I was like, I want to do this, but in the 90s. But sometimes you're not sure how books will be received. So the gift of being a Reese's pick is that I knew that this book was going to be well received. I knew people were waiting. I knew people were excited. And I think the only pressure was just just delivering. Getting it done. Actually not getting caught up in all that. Right? Yeah.
Well, the book touches on some of the grittier aspects of the 90s grunge, like you were mentioning, fame, death, drugs. So do you have any personal experience with that?
So my mother-in-law actually said the other day, you did so much research. And then she looked at me and she said, didn't you? And I was like, yes, it was all research. I've never. So, but I think growing up in that era, I was 14 when Kurt Cobain died, and it seemed like I know I didn't know him, and that's something I explore, right? You feel like you know these people. It was deeply affecting. So, but going into that really gritty world of addiction and the price of fame and the fact that fame actually generally is a curse, it was challenging for me. Sometimes I would pull back and say to my editors, maybe he just maybe a little bit of a pill addiction. And they're like, no, this is you have to go there. But I kept the memoirs I would read, addiction memoirs, even Matthew Perry, everyone ended up dead. And so I would just come back to, okay, this is my world. I am rewriting this story. So escape is the option here, and it's the only option. And so but yes, the research was a lot, and it was sometimes a little bit
It would have been heavy.
It would have been heavy.
Yeah,
okay, so that portion, because you've mentioned all of these real life references that are inspiration. So how much of that could you weave through, or what was the challenge in maybe weaving through some of those stories into your novel then?
So I think that was the fun part, but you'll notice when you read it, Jeff Buckley is not in the novel because I feel like Jeff Buckley is the muse for Elijah. So he's sort of in spirit. There is a character named Zach who is obviously Kurt Cobain, which is me kind of saying Elijah's not Kurt Cobain, but here's this guy who's sort of like him. And then there's a moment where it's Sinead O'Connor, but it's a different character. And I was just because, again, it was my world, so weaving them in. But also, you want to be careful because these women that I'm really writing about, and I'm telling Jane's story, they were vilified by the media, or they were, judged for their opinion, or never asked about their music. So I really wanted to be so careful with the female characters to give them the agency and the moment that the female musicians were not getting.
Yeah, you mentioned that, it's true. Sinead O'Connor was vilified. Courtney Love was also vilified as well. And there was that double standard that we're even talking about, not in the grunge world, but in Britney Spears. Why was this idea of double standards during that time frame something you wanted to explore?
So as I started doing my research, I went back to look at my mixtapes that I still have and everything that I was listening to. And I was listening to Tori Amos, PJ Harvey, Hole, L7.
She doesn't know who any of those people are.
I have playlists playlist. I'll send them to you.
Thanks.
But when you go onto Spotify and you're like top alternative playlist, you get Pearl Jam, Nirvana, Alice in Chains, Stone Temple Pilots, the women, maybe you'll get the Breeders if you're lucky, like a whole song. So I felt like as I started to do the research in the world that I thought that I'd lived in, because I'd experienced these female artists being top of mind for me, but they're not getting memorialized. They're not. Eddie Vedder is the last man standing of grunge music. He is not the last man standing. There are women, you know, Kim Deal, Courtney Love is still alive, everyone. Like she's not. So that double standard became real because it wasn't just something that I was creating in this world that I had created. And I really wanted to start talking about it, but also I think we need to interrogate it. Like, why does this happen?
Well, this book sounds like it's just waiting to be adapted to the big screen.
Yes.
So can you talk to us about like your dream cast?
Yes. So yes, I can. So I have, so, and I'm hoping TV series for this one, like a 90s Daisy Jones. So Sydney Chandler, who's Kyle Chandler's daughter, by the way, but she also played, I know.
Sorry.
Coach Friday, I know. Let's have a moment for Friday Night Lights. But she played Chrissy Hynde in the Sex Pistols recent biopic.
Okay.
So she's musical, but she's got that look, like she's got the vibe. There's also Charlotte Lawrence, who was most recently in Bad Monkey. She's the teenage daughter, and like that teenage angst is just coming off her in spades. But she's also a talented musician in her own right. Perfect. So those two, I think, you know, if they're available, they should.
I mean, if they're watching, you know.
Maybe Coach could give us a call. And for Elijah, I mean, I would love for Jeff Buckley to just come back from the dead at 27. But if not, I mean, Jeremy Allen White, like the guys at the Tatter Charm, or Timothy Chalamet, who I just recently found out is playing Bob Dylan.
No.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm sure he's going to have to learn to play guitar. So again, like, I don't know what
Just
else.
step into
he
that.
should just step into the
He'll be ready, warmed up, good to go.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love these dream castings,
so
by the way. We hope it happens. Marissa, a huge congratulations on the book. We want to tell everybody it is called The Lightning Bottles. And thank you so much for joining us to talk about it today. And studio audience, I don't know, we don't want to hold on to this all to ourselves. What about you going home with your own copy today? Thank you again. Thank you.
Hey, up next. Hey, you, come a bit closer. We've got so many more must-see interviews, spicy debates, lifestyle tips, and pop culture moments. So subscribe to our channel by tapping the logo below and don't miss out.